Did you know you have over 100 trillion microorganisms living on or inside your body? This living entity is referred to as your microbiome or microbiota. These communities of bacteria that make up your microbiome carry out a variety of functions which are vital to your health and survival. For example, your gut microbiome or gut flora assists your immune function, and it's instrumental in digestion and absorption of nutrients. What's recently being studied is the gut-brain axis, which is a communication between your gut and your brain. This communication has a strong influence on various centers of the brain that govern behavior, immune function, and even emotions. This has led many to refer to the gastrointestinal tract as your second brain. When there's a disruption in the balance of your gut microbiome, it can directly affect cognition function, leading to states of anxiety, depression, as well as a suppressed immune system. Now you can keep your gut microbiome healthy by following a plant-based diet which is high in fiber. The bacteria in your gut will ferment the fibers, producing many beneficial compounds, and this keeps your gut microbiome well-fed and thriving. Now another great way to keep your gut microbiome healthy and in balance is to consume fermented foods. Fermented foods like sauerkraut, kimchi, tempeh, miso, and kefir contain beneficial bacteria and when eaten can assist in keeping your gut microbiome healthy. Fermentation has been around for thousands of years. It's been a way to preserve food. It also provides a diversity of flavors, aromas, and textures for food. A great benefit of fermented foods is that they are easy to digest, and fermentation can improve their nutritional profile. Today, many people and cultures are still enjoying fermented foods and their benefits, and for some, they are making their own fermented foods. Fermenting your own foods can be easy. However, it does require a few key ingredients. In general, fermenting foods requires the right temperature, a certain amount of time to ferment. It needs to take place in an anaerobic state, which means no oxygen present. It needs an organic matter like vegetables, and a microorganism like a bacteria, fungus, or yeast. A very popular and easy fermented food to make is sauerkraut. By going over the steps on how to make this very popular German dish, you can then expand on this and ferment other vegetables as you like. Making sauerkraut requires only 2 ingredients, sea salt and cabbage. It's important to weigh out each, since the wrong ratio of salt to cabbage may result in a failed fermentation. The ratio is 1 tablespoon of salt, or 15 grams of salt, for every 2 pounds of cabbage. Now a very important note, when involved in any fermentation process, make sure all your equipment is clean and sanitized. You want to make sure only the good germs get into the fermentation and not the bad ones. To sanitize your jars, you can simply boil some water and pour in and over the jars. Have some jars sanitized ahead of time and ready to use. And of course, make sure you wash your hands often. Now starting with the cabbage, and before weighing it, peel away a few of the top layers of cabbage, removing any browning or yellowing leaves. Cut the cabbage in quarters and remove the root end of the cabbage. Cut the cabbage crosswise, creating small bite-sized pieces. Have a bowl ready on the scale to portion out 2 pounds of cabbage. Next, layer in the salt by placing small amounts of cabbage in a bowl, then sprinkling in some salt. Do this until all the salt is used and cabbage is covered. Now start massaging, squeezing, and mixing the cabbage for about 5 to 6 minutes. This process is needed to start creating the brine. The salt pulls water out of the cabbage and softens it, getting ready for fermentation. After the cabbage is soft and you've developed some brine, you can now pack it tightly in your sanitized jar. Using Fido jars may provide some advantage over mason jars by preventing carbon dioxide to build up and keeping out oxygen. Now what will be needed is a weight to keep the cabbage below the brine. You can simply use a very small jar with some marbles in it or rocks. Make sure the jar that you're using for the cabbage is big enough so there's room at the top to place a weight. Okay, you're ready to secure the lid, and now it's ready for fermentation. Place the jar in an area of the room away from light and with temperatures between 65 and 90 degrees Fahrenheit. The fermentation process takes about 3 to 4 weeks, depending on the temperature. The hotter it is, the faster it will ferment. During the fermentation process, the naturally occurring bacteria found in the cabbage will start to digest the natural sugar found in the cabbage. This process produces carbon dioxide, replacing any oxygen left, creating a more oxygen-free environment. This then creates the right conditions for the beneficial bacteria, Lactobacilli, to thrive. These are the probiotics that keep your gut healthy. The fermentation is complete when there are no more bubbles on the sides, top, or bottom of the jar. Open the jar and give it a try. If it's to your liking, put the sauerkraut in the refrigerator to stop the fermentation process and enjoy as you like. You can see making sauerkraut is easy. Now, there are rare occasions when fermentation can fail, resulting in spoilage. Now, some signs of spoilage are a slimy surface, bad smell, or pink splotches. If you see any of these signs, dump it out and try again. Now, some points to remember. Keep the cabbage below the brine to create an oxygen-free environment. Use a jar that allows carbon dioxide to escape while keeping oxygen out. Keep at temperatures between 65 and 90 degrees Fahrenheit and let ferment for 3 to 4 weeks. And, of course, make sure you keep things clean. So now you know that following a plant-based diet high in fiber and eating fermented foods like sauerkraut, kimchi, or miso can keep your gut healthy and you healthy. Until next time, stay well.